Okay. There we go. Hopefully. Where is... Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Guys, let me know in the chat. Apparently my audio decided not to come through. And if my lovely guests will say hello so we can check if they're coming through. I'm hoping that came through. Alright. You didn't... Alright, try again now. See if it worked now. Can you both speak again quick, sir? Apparently not. This was all working earlier. Alright, give me a second. Sorry about this. Audio. And... oh god, I don't even know how to even do this now. There we go. Okay. Do you want to try speak? Just keep on speaking. Eventually people will hear you, hopefully. They can't hear the others. Okay, let me just... No, not really. Why? Okay, hold on. Let me switch over to just me and see if that then picks up desktop. Alright, that'll work. Alright, there you go. I think they can hear you now. Alright, can someone in the chat just confirm if you can hear everyone else while I switch everything over, because... I'm hoping they can hear. Is this... oh, you hear again. Okay, hold on. They still can't hear you. Oh, I am so sorry about this. This was... alright, hold on. I'm literally putting in audio output, add source, desktop, there you go. Okay, let's make sure it's all working. And why... alright, let me close the game real quick. Maybe this was closing the problems. Okay. It's still not picking you up. What is going on? Why is it not picking your voices up? No, that's music. Don't know.
easy is it to get to?
So most of the gear that's relevant is above ground, right? You got pipes and stuff underground, but all the controls and filters and everything are above ground. But like last year, I had a problem with the saltwater pool, so
They
I
can hear
Alright.
used
you. They can hear you.
Excellent. Hear us talking
well,
about swimming pools.
Go. Okay,
Oh
no, but
no.
now you was really loud. You. There we go. Everyone can say they can hear you.
Excellent. Well,
Ah.
that's good news.
Now the
We
question
did
is,
it. Well, you
can
did it.
can they hear me? That's the real question. Can you? Alright, sound works. They can hear you. Everyone's going crazy. 31 people saying they can all hear you. Alright, fantastic.
nice.
Well, let's introduce ourselves, and I guess we're talking about swimming pools today. Alright, well, you know who I am. I'm obviously Glurmit. And I'm joined by... Do you want to introduce both yourselves?
Sure. I'm Darth Loquitur. I'm a content creator on YouTube. I've got a channel, and when I joined the game a couple years ago, I felt like there wasn't a whole lot of content that was helpful to newer players. There were a lot of people covering, people who'd been playing the game for 4 or 5 years at that point. So my channel is mostly focused on helping new players get started, and then I've got a bunch of efficiency stuff for helping players of any level try to do more with the resources that they get in the game. So that's who I am. You can find me on YouTube. We've got a great Discord community too. Probably a lot of the people who hang out in your Discord might also. So that's nice.
Very nice. And sorry to jump in, can one of the mods, because my phone's crashed, can one of the mods just chuck DL's channel link in the chat, please? And would you like to tell us who you are as well?
Yeah, so I'm Fellhammer. I'm one of DL's, I guess, disciples, apprentices. I don't know what you want to call it. And I've helped him out with a couple of videos before. We talk a lot on Discord. We've become pretty good friends as well, so it's nice to talk through things. We have some good back and forth. So he's invited me on today, which I'm really happy to help out. So hello everyone.
So, we wanted to start today by going over what efficiency is, and I don't think there's anyone better to explain that than Darth Loquitur themselves. So would you like to get us started?
Yeah, so I mean, for people who know my channel and have watched me before, I'm an engineer by training, and this game appealed to me originally. And the concept of efficiency, if you apply it in the real world, it's about getting the most out of something with the fewest amount of resources. So whether that's in business, trying to get the most product out of a factory with the least amount of labor and money on the input side, things like that. And when I joined the game, Grand Arena was still sorted out by galactic power. Challenge in the game to try to build as much power as you could in your account while simultaneously keeping the galactic power at the minimum. And of course, with the new system, that's gone away, and that's sort of efficiency within the system. But I still like it because there's so many layers of efficiency. First, new player, everybody I think has this question: well, if I build this team, is it a good choice? Am I going to regret it later? Am I going to take all this time, effort, this team, put it into these characters, and then later everybody's going to laugh at me and say, "Why the heck did you do that? Like that's dumb. Why'd you build knights?" So if Arva's listening, he'll have a good laugh at that one. But but yeah, so at the account level, are we building the right things? And then are we using the gear in the right way? When you get crystals in the account, are you spending your crystals for the right things in terms of energy refreshes or gear? So there's a bunch of different layers to it, and I think it's fun to just try to optimize all that stuff in the game and get the most you can out of it for what you're given. So Fellhammer, I think you had a definition as well, right?
Mine was slightly more mechanical minded. What did I say to you? I've lost it now. Hang on. It's a ratio of the useful work performed by a machine or in a process to the total energy expended. So it's like, what is, basically how much you're getting out for what you put in, and the more you get out for what you put in, your efficiency. And we talk about, I think there were sort of three sort of resources, I guess, that we put into the game that then you get stuff, you get stuff out, and that stuff is, efficient, is progress in the game, right? So you could put in money, time, and then the in-game, you're building up of in-game resources and you're spending of those. Well, money gets you those in-game resources, and time spent in the game up until a point gets you those in-game resources, and how you can use those to build the most efficient account, which is effectively what you've just said. What teams are the best teams to put things into, and where are they going to get you the most value? And that's really what it is.
Okay, well, can I just jump in and say someone in the chat called, so there's been loads of messages, Darth Tomato, I don't know how you say it, I think it was them. They said efficiency's cleaning the pool in 20 minutes. So,
you see, I don't know. I don't have a swimming pool. Darth Loquitur is the one with the swimming pool. It's all that YouTube money he gets. So
efficiency is buying the most optimal pool cleaner and pushing a button and letting the pool cleaner clean your pool for 1:49.
And we've had another quick question from Mike. DL, when did you get an apprentice, Dark Lord?
I don't know. I don't think I've taken Fellhammer on as my official apprentice, but yeah, he's helped me with a few videos before, and I enjoy his sense of humor.
You had me fight all those Jedi.
Yeah, but it's not official.
No.
I'm only allowed to have one apprentice, and I'm not sure.
Okay.
Not sure yet.
All right.
You're hedging your bets.
So, you've both given me great definitions for what you think efficiency is, and you've spoken about efficiency in the game. But I just have one question, and I'm sure a lot of people watching have this question. How do you be efficient and still have fun? Because the game, I'm sure you both agree, is very, like you said, mechanical in a sense. There's a certain ways to do things, but how do you keep the game refreshing and fun? Because if you put it down to as simple as something like farm this node every day non-stop, someone might get bored and stop playing because they might not enjoy that aspect. So how do you balance efficiency and fun?
I'll let Fellhammer take this one first.
So it's a problem I've had, right? So I'll talk about my personal experience first. So I've been playing the game for just over 13 months. So my account is quite young, and I went through a path that was, I'm going to say, as efficient as it could possibly be, as far as I could see it. So I built up to Malak first, got Malak, then went straight into SLKR, built SLKR, built a Cam Clones team to get into the best guild I possibly could, and then built Executor. After that run of doing all those pretty efficient things, I was feeling quite sort of, okay, now what? Okay, I've got to build JMK. He's the next best thing to go after. You can sort of, we talked about it a lot in DL's Discord and things like that. You used to go, okay, JMK is the next best thing. I was thinking, I don't want to do it. It's boring. I don't want to do another Galactic Legend straight away after having done Executor and that. I want to do something else. So I thought, okay, well, what's the best way of spending my time? And I went, okay, well, I'm going to build Imperial Troopers, because I didn't have Imperial Troopers, and I'm going to build a CLS team, because those are both really fun, great teams. I'm interested in both of them because I like the characters in both of them. They're all sort of from the original Star Wars trilogy, which is my kind of wheelhouse. And I went, I'm going to build those, and it's kept me interested in the game. And I'm now ready. I'm at the back end of building my CLS team. I'm now ready to move on to JMK. I'm like, okay, I need another Galactic Legend now. I'm in that place. So that's how I.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you then.
No, please.
I was going to say, unless you've already said it and my mind's gone blank, what GP are you?
Sorry, say again?
What galactic power are you currently?
I'm 4.5 million.
Oh, okay, so you do have access to Proving Grounds.
Yeah, I have access access to hard conquest.
Nice.
And those are really interesting efficiency decisions in themselves. I was going to talk about Cat very quickly, and I don't mean to monopolize, and I'll let DL talk in a second. But Cat is not an efficient grind, however you look at it, right? The crystal cost, even with the new proving grounds, is ridiculous. You have to invest a huge amount of crystals, which would be much better to invest in any other place. If you look at it mathematically, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But she is a member of the best team in the game, and you need her to make that team work. So at some point, you've got to go, I've got to spend these, what I think you worked out as 34,000 crystals or something, Darth Loquitur, to buy it if you hadn't done the Conquest, which I hadn't, because she came out, I think my first Conquest was her last Conquest. So, yeah. If you're going to get JMK, and even if you're not going to get JMK, she's still brilliant with Padme. So you have to get her. So I am now putting aside 4,400 crystals every month to do the proving grounds and getting the 3 refreshes until I unlock that character. And it's not efficient, and it's actually not that much fun. I don't like proving grounds very much, but you have to do it if you want that team and to get that payoff.
If you don't mind me asking another question here. And sorry, DL, we'll let you talk in a second.
I'm completely taken over already.
So,
No
when
problem
you were talking about JMK, and you're going from a very, very efficient standpoint. You said about JMK being the best. Do you not think the fact that Commander Ahsoka is so hard to get for someone who doesn't spend money? Like, if you don't spend money, if you say someone right now, they're 2 million GP, they're farming JMK. When they get him, they could be moving on to Executor by then. Then they've got to save crystals for Executor, save crystals for Commander Ahsoka. Do you not think that impacts the decision to go for JMK in the first place?
I do think it impacts it. I think that JMK is still a good team. Into him in his Legends journey are also good. There's a few exceptions. Cody and a couple of others are a bit rubbish, but that it is a factor, right? And I think if I hadn't been where I was in knowing that, okay, I'm going to get Cat in, it looks like about 4 or 5 months now. In fact, it's one of the things that went into me deciding to take a break from building Galactic Legends was, well, if I go after JM, I want a light side Galactic Legend because I've got a dark side Galactic Legend. So I want JML, Rey, or JMK. JML, I've got to spend loads of get one currency to get him, and I'm nowhere near Wampa, and I'm nowhere near Hermit Yoda because I went after Malak first.
Yeah.
And then, but for JMK, I've got a similar problem. I need Cat and I need Negotiator, which is also a thing to consider, and Watt. You need 7-star Watt as well. And
you
need Radis, which is and then for Rey, it's a rubbish fleet. No offense to the Radis or anything, but it's not the best fleet in the game at the moment. So yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything to add, Dio?
I wish I could say something in defense of the Radis fleet, but nope, can't defend it. I like the Rey journey. I like Rey as a character. I like it a lot better than most content creators like Rey. But the fleet. Fleet's a dud.
Sorry, chaps. I need to duck out for a second. My son's awake. I just need to go and then put him back to bed.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll be back in just a sec. I apologise.
No problem. Yeah, talking about Radis, the only time I quite like it, especially for the fact that it might not be the best ship, but unfortunately, Grand Arena changes. As you know, Kyber, you need 6 fleets really, 3 offense, 3 defense. Radis does have its place, and if you don't have it, even as a filler fleet, all of a sudden you're taking a good fleet, and that's something for me to kind of back it up.
Yeah, that's what I do with my Radis fleet on my main account. I put it on defense in Grand Arena, and it's good enough. If you've done the raid journey and you've got those characters and the ships built, then it is good enough to demand a good fleet to beat it. Yeah. So just about any fleet can beat it, but it's going to use up something. Yeah. And if it uses up, like let's say I do Executor defense. Yeah. If the Radis pulls the Rebel fleet, it makes it harder to clean up the other two if you drop a battle on the other two. So it has its place. It definitely has its place.
Now, while we still have a few minutes while they come back, there's a few questions
I'm going to jump in on the fun part if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, of course, please do.
Yeah, so for me, when I very first started my channel, and one of the things I started pounding on right away for new players, don't try to win Squad Arena.
Yeah.
It's an exercise in frustration. And at that point, there were still crystals in Squad Arena. And I said, look, guys, if you come into this game and you think you're going to win Squad Arena, there's guys spending hundreds and potentially thousands of dollars, and they're going to look at Squad Arena and want to win. They're going to relic a bunch of characters, and you're never going to get there. You know, it'll take you 1.5 to 2 years if you just play free to play to catch up to the Squad Arena. So you have to walk into the game, and you just have to say to yourself, I don't care. I don't care to win Squad Arena.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a mindset coming into this SWGOH game is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So another saying that I have is let the game come to you. If you really want to build a character, and you just every day you're in the account, you're looking at what you need for that character, and you're 15 pieces short, and then you're 5 pieces short, and then you're still 2 pieces short, and eventually it gets so frustrating, right? So you do have to have this mentality about, you know, when I get the stuff out of the game, you know, it's fine. I'll let it come to me. And that for me is a big thing between the people that I see that stay engaged and continue to play the game, and people who get very frustrated very quickly and leave. The people who are trying to force their way into the game, they're not very happy, because this game is a game of years. And the other thing that is very important is your expectation of what winning means.
Yeah.
Right? If you say, well, I want to win every territory war, I want to win every grand arena, I want to win, go away. This game, because grand arena forces you into a scenario where you're winning, 4 or 5 out of 9 matches per season. It's a 50-50 win ratio when you're at your respective top end of your skill rating with your account.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of accept that I'm not going to outplay these guys from the start. I'm not going to win everything. I'm just going to build things that I like. I'm going to enjoy playing the game, and I'm going to let it come to me. And then the game is much more enjoyable. Once you try to start forcing it, try to rush things, it's never-ending frustration.
Okay. No, I think that's a really good answer. And I think if you don't mind me saying, I think it's very interesting how even your answer about having fun still covers so much about the efficiency of the game. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're trying to, like, let's say you just go into the game and you find out JMK is the best, and you try to build a JMK cat team. Well, literally the most inefficient thing you could possibly pick to do.
I'm happy you brought that up, because the other day I do so many roster reviews on my channel, and we had someone who was all done with JMK with the exception of Wat Tambor, who's 5 stars. Now obviously I couldn't see the amount of shards they have, but worst case scenario they would have needed 185. And if they're getting, on average, how many Wat shards would you say is a good average for a guild? Like 20 or 30? Higher?
In a good low-end guild with my newer account, and we're getting, between 30 and 40. We're getting like 35s.
Yep.
But let's say 30 is probably,
yep,
good for an average guild.
And even if you're getting 30 shards, it's still going to take you almost 9 months. Wait, let me just double check that. I'm pretty sure it's 9 months, or is that the calculation for 20? Give me 1 second.
Well, assuming it comes around about once a month, then, if you needed 150 shards, for example, you'd get it in 5 months.
It's 6 months for 30 shards a month. It was 9 months for the 20 shards. But that's 6 months you're waiting around to finish a Galactic Legend. And yes, the requirements are, like, General Kenobi's good. Grievous is good. I don't think Grandmaster Yoda is the best relicate in the game anyway. But my point is, you're sitting around with characters that aren't the best in the game, and you can't finish your farm, and what are you actually gaining from those requirements? At least if it was something like Kylo or Rey, you're at least gaining something immediate in the ship, which you can then build on. But unfortunately, going for JMK, I think is, like, if I'm honest, I don't know if you both agree, I would honestly tell anyone who's starting the game now, forget about JMK. That's just the way I'm with this game. I mean,
that absolutely, yeah. It's so my concept right now for the best account building path includes 2 Galactic Legends, and neither of them JMK.
Okay. Which Galactic Legends are they again? So everyone in the chat would know.
So if I'm going to talk about that, I have to start at the beginning, because I could talk for like 20 minutes on the count concept, and it's all efficiency based stuff.
Okay. We have a few questions that have come through. If you don't mind going through them real quick. So we've had a question here which says, hold on, just trying to find it. No, not that one. Would you agree or disagree that building a solid core or set of GAC teams initially would be the first thing to build for new players? So, for example, Imperial Troopers or other teams like that? Or would you say, forget the core teams, jump straight into Sith Eternal, SLKR, Rey, one of the GLs?
I agree and disagree.
Okay.
So I think if the player starts a new account, it used to be that if you wanted to build the most efficient, avoid the hyperdrive bundle, because it gave you a bunch of useless galactic power. Doesn't really matter anymore anywhere in the game. No reason not to buy the hyperdrive bundle. For anybody who can afford it, they should just hyperdrive right away and just get into the game. So what is the purpose of the first teams that you're going to build? And you brought up Grand Arena, and I would say that's exactly what I did in January of this year.
Yep.
I thought I was going to build an account and that I was just going to skyrocket through Grand Arena and, get to Bronzium in 3 months and then be in Chromium in 8 months, and just like show this meteoric rise through Grand Arena.
Yep.
And in probably the second month of playing the GAC, all my matchups for a whole month, for a whole round of Grand Arena, 12 matches in a row, I got 2 opponents that I could even play. And I got 10 opponents that were anywhere between 2 million and 8 million galactic power.
Yeah.
And I had absolutely no chance of competing against whatsoever. And so at one moment, there's this frustration of realizing it doesn't matter what I build. In the new Grand Arena system, there's so much of these big account garbage that have just floated down by people who aren't playing that it just doesn't matter. If they play, you lose. If they don't play, you win. So the purpose of building any teams in an early account right now has nothing to do with Grand Arena. Okay? So the next best thing to do is say a snowball effect, right? Because we want to get into the game and we want to use the gear that we've got to generate more in-game resources.
Yeah.
And what's the best way to do that? You named off Imperial Troopers, and they are the #1 team in the game for early game.
Yeah.
Because they're good in Grand Arena, they're good in Squad Arena, they're good in assault battles. You can, with very low gear troopers, complete assault battle challenge tier 1s, which start getting you
I was amazed when I built mine.
Yeah, the finisher parts for your relic characters, and just the challenge tier 1 is really important so that you don't have to farm those finisher pieces, the injector handles and stuff like that. So getting those troopers up and running as one of your first teams is critical.
I'll show you
getting
the dark side
early is a no-brainer for me, because they're playing in Grand Arena as a team, especially for early players who don't know how to play against them. They have a fleet, and it's all just characters that you collect out of the shops or cantina farms. So building the easy. That gets you Padme. Then you can build a Padme team with Jedi. That gets you a second fleet around Galactic Republic.
Yep.
So are the core teams, and it's nothing to do with GAC. It's just because those are all account accelerants. And the Padme team is fantastic for certain galactic challenges that come up, and it's good in Conquest, which a lot of early game accounts have struggles in Conquest, and Padme is an easy team for. So just conceptually, Geos, Imperial Troopers, Padme, that sets a foundation for your account. You're going to need some bounty hunters in there to do credit heist and some other stuff like that. Those teams up and running, your account's stable, then you go straight into a Galactic Legend. If you built a Jedi team, you could accelerate your income a little more. If you built this good Sith team, you could accelerate your income a little more. But some of the real goodies are then locked behind a Galactic Legend, high completion in raids and things like that. It gives you a massive jump in your gear income. So you pretty much go from the account stabilization, 4 or 5 good teams, and then you start building your Galactic Legend. Then when you go into Grand Arena, you didn't rush a Galactic Legend. You're not stuck with no teams to play. You've got your Relic Vader that kills a team. You've got your Troopers to kill a team. You've got Padme on defense, whatever. You've got some Jedi floating around in there somewhere that are useful. You can build Qui-Gon Jinn and put Padme's team with Qui-Gon Jinn just for Grand Arena. So everywhere else they're with Padme, you put them in Grand Arena, they go with Qui-Gon. So it gives you all kinds of flexibility, and the stuff that you would have won in Grand Arena, you're going to still win, and you will have accelerated your income. And then when you get that payout of the first Galactic Legend, then the income really starts. It takes a change. I'm going to let Fellhammer talk a little bit because I've been hogging all the airtime. Because he went through that journey, right? And at the time, the Revans into Malak was a better stabilization because you could pick up a bunch of characters out of fleet. Those characters are going off of fleet, so the Malak grab isn't as efficient anymore. But you can tell them your experience, Fellhammer.
Before you start, and literally 1 minute, there's something I need to ask DL. I don't know whether to be disappointed or upset. I didn't hear any mention of Young Han in your efficiency plan there.
Correct.
What's going on? Come on, I gave you the warning. So I had to jump in there. You was talking about Imperial Troopers, one of the best early game teams. And I just want to jump in there and say Young Han should be in that list. Now, you both might be puzzled, and I can see it on your faces. You're thinking, what is this guy saying? Why is he talking about Young Han? Why do we care? And I say...
Because he's just in time?
No. On a serious note, right at the beginning of the game, he basically gives you complete access to Smuggler's Run events, which shouldn't be underestimated. I can see I'm not convincing you.
No, the Smuggler's Run event is great. I agree with you, and I think that going for that early on is useful. And the place where I have that in terms of efficiency, you actually build the Smuggler team during the SLKR build, because you don't have to relic that team.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
You have to build them up, but you can build them in the background while you're relicing the SLKR characters. But definitely making a grab team. I like Enfys Nest, so I put her in there, and then Kira as the lead, and then the other smugglers kind of take care of themselves. But conceptually going for that event, yeah. So talk to me about Young Han. How does he kill that event so easily? I'm interested.
Okay, so I've recently started a brand new free-to-play account. I started it in April, and I think I'm level 71. I should be higher, but I've been so busy, so I've not been on it as much as I should be. Now, I am going for Starkiller, but obviously I have to farm my favourite character in the game, Young Han. Now, just to tell you a little bit about his power early game, I think it's tier 1 and 2 Smuggler's Run I've beaten. He basically soloed the whole raid, mission. And all the mod challenges, he did all of that by himself. Everyone dies off, you just leave him on his own, because he gives protection up based on obviously his max health, and then he counterattacks and gains so much offense. At the end, he one-shots everyone. And the fun thing is, if you think right at the beginning of the game, especially Galactic War and all of that fun stuff, there are no characters with protection because you need Gear 7, right? So unlock protection on characters. it doesn't matter because Young Han has protection up. I can tell I'm really not convincing you. I'm honestly, I am.
I feel like I'm being trolled. Seriously.
No, what do you mean you're being trolled?
No, I'm
No.
looking at
I had
his,
to go.
I'm looking at his kit right now, and see, this is what I love about being a content creator, because I can hear this from you and take it seriously. And I know he comes out of the guild store, so he's not even a farmed character, right? He's just out of the guild shop. So when I look at that, if it's a store character that I can buy, I'm real interested in that because I don't have to farm it anywhere. And I may just have learned something important, and that Young Han will be in one of my build paths later. I mean, I'm not closing the idea down at all.
So, let me give you a real quick. Let me try and convince you both. And if you're not convinced, I'm probably gonna cry after the stream's done. So, also before we go, I should probably tell you guys, for getting 500 subs on my channel, I made the promise to R9 my Young Han. There is no Relic 9 Young Han in the game, and I'm going to be doing it as soon as the packs are in the store. So, anyways, why do I like him? Well, his basic obviously is just doing basic stuff, just normal damage. It does give him prepared if you hit someone below 50% turn meter, which is important to take into account, but we'll get to that. His first special, when he throws the dice, gives him protection up. Gives him speed stacking, so mods aren't too important because he's stacking speed the whole time. And his special is dealing more damage for each prepared ally. Now, I can tell you, I'm not fully convinced, hold on. So for example, I went into the second mod challenge, the one with Grievous. And I took in Phoenix, because I didn't have, you can't farm all the smugglers early game. You have to farm them individually. So I did just the Phoenix team, Young Han in there. And the cool thing is you can spread the prepared with Young Han to the rest of the team. Now, because they aren't prepared characters, they just keep the buff, and they never lose it. So by the end of the wave, I think it's wave 6 or 7 in the mod challenges, he was dealing like 25-30,000 damage on a hit as a Gear 7 character. He did work. He did work. And, I don't know, for me, I mean, he's like my favourite character in the game, obviously. But I like him. Maybe you're not convinced. Maybe I'm gonna have a bad day.
So I think the fact that he's one of your favorite characters is important. Like, it makes a difference to the game that you're building characters that you like, and no amount of efficiency is going to replace. You can have the most efficient account, but if you don't enjoy playing it, you're not going to enjoy it. Yeah. So that's the all of this is you still need to be having fun, right?
It's true.
I've just looked at the rewards for Smuggler's Run because I didn't even. It's actually up at the moment. The event's up at the moment, and I was just like, what do you even get for that? And if you can do it, you need more than just Young Han in order to complete it.
Obviously,
you need to get a load of different characters, but you get a few mod slicing materials, which aren't bad.
Yep.
And you get a couple of mods, and you get some credits, which is not bad. But he has a ship, right?
No, he doesn't have a ship.
So that's where it falls down for me. Is that when I'm building early game pilot, I'm really looking twice at him to get or at that character to go, are they worth building? Because fleets are so important in the game at the moment.
Fair enough. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a crisis right now. I was expecting you both to give the whole, yes, Young Han's great, and then I would have been like, yes, we can all agree on something. But...
Young Han needs to be looked into. I mean, I haven't played much with him myself, but I'll build the character and I'll have a look at it.
Well, you could always check out the Relic 9 gameplay. When it comes
absolutely.
out. Anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Check out that video.
I didn't mean to interrupt you talking about your account earlier. We can ignore Young Han. That never happened, guys. They said they loved him. Let's go back to the main topic here.
I'm sorry, I've lost the thread of where we were. So we were talking about building through the account, the sort of account pathways, and so much has changed in the game. And the reason that I just said that about Young Han, about him not being a pilot, is really key for me. the only place you can get a regular source of daily crystals, there's two places. GAC rank, which you can't do very much about at the moment because if it's complete chance as to whether you get lumped up against someone who you can actually beat or someone who's going to just throttle you, with a 6 million GP account. And Fleet Arena is the most important place to build your account out to get the best. You need a solid fleet. You need to be building towards the malevolence or the or the negotiator, and then you need to be thinking about where executor at the moment comes into your plan, and because those three ships are what are going to account for a huge percentage of your daily crystal income, which is how you're going to accelerate your account. And that's the biggest change that's happened over the last year since I started playing, was that when I started playing, Squad Arena mattered. Now it does not. With GAC, you could make, you could get into, into a good score every time, and now you can't.
Yeah.
You're purely at the throw of the dice. So what matters? Assault battles, Fleet Arena, Conquest. So you need an account that can do those three things.
I think you make a really good point there, especially on Conquest. Because love it, hate it, whatever you think of it, it's here to stay and it's so vital to a good roster.
It's a huge amount of resources as well.
Yeah, and not just this, just think of the characters you get if you don't unlock them when they come around. You said earlier, like 34,000 crystals. To put it into context, that's like... what's that about? $200 roughly in cost if you're buying them.
About $220.
$220, yeah. That's a lot of money. And unfortunately, seeing what they've done with Commander Ahsoka and being so pivotal for a JMK team, say down the line, any of these characters we've recently had could turn out to be needed for a Galactic Legend. You never know what they're going to do.
Well, look at Razor Crest, which was the first ship.
Well, I think they did a good job with putting that in Fleet Store, if I'm honest.
It's better. It's not brilliant. It's still a huge farm if you don't. I mean, I actually had to force farm it to get my executor quickly. I was buying fleet refreshers. That's how desperate I was.
Do you know what annoyed me the most about the executor event? When you unlock Razor Crest, it says you can do the event. And then you get to the end, and it goes, yes, you need a 7-star Razor Crest to be able to do it. But it's got a tick.
Yeah.
And someone in my guild today just found that out after thinking they were ready to do Executor. Everything else is done. And they go, oh, I've only got a 6-star Razor Crest. But the event tells you can do it. I think it's absolutely stupid. Sorry, before we go on to this, there's another question here that I thought would fit in well with what you've been saying. What changes in the game in the last year have made major changes to the way you've approached the game, basically?
Well, I can answer that. The changes to GAC were a mini crisis for me because, up to that point, the whole idea of efficient account building gets proven out when you go into GAC. And you're competing for one of the top spots in the placement in Grand Arena. It's sort of the proof that what you're doing works. Then you go into this new system and it's just kind of nebulous, and you say, well, I'm a 4 million galactic power account and I'm fighting against 8 million accounts.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I mean, that doesn't translate well. And then you start losing. And it's kind of like I built 2 accounts and I built them both with the idea of Grand Arena in mind, and now all that's pretty much I'm not going to say gone. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's an awful big dice roll right at the start, whether you get matched with an opponent that you can actually play against and learn something meaningful or not. And I did get some 3-0 weeks on my main account, and this was immediately punished for my insolence by being matched up against people that were giving me a 0-3 week the following week. So interested anymore in doing a 3-0 if I win my first 2 battles. I just throw the 3rd battle because I don't want a 3-0. It's incredibly punishing at the highest level of the GAC to get a 3-0 season. So there's this new dynamic where I kind of had to go back and say, what's the point of playing? Why?
Yeah.
If Grand Arena is my thing and that's kind of out now, like what is it that I'm doing? So for me, I had to kind of recalibrate on, okay, let's try to change things around and talk about what's the best account to build for Conquest and prepare for these other game modes.
Yeah.
Let's do things a little bit differently, because I don't mean to sound negative about it, but it's not that Grand Arena doesn't matter anymore. It's just it's more of a system now where you do the best you can with what you've got. And building for Grand Arena, to me, and Fellhammer alluded to this, it means building fleets. If you build fleets and you're ready for that stuff, you will beat other people.
Yeah.
Because even at the Kyber level, there's so many people that just, they have garbage fleets. So as long as you can clear 2 zones, load up all your other stuff in the bottom zone for defense, just hold it to a 2-zone battle where ships are relevant, and you win all your GACs. So to me, that's the biggest thing that changed is the dynamic around Grand Arena. And the fact that, let's say, I'm still getting over this because I've always wanted to minimize my GP and keep it low. And, probably 2 months ago or whatever, I had this kind of moment where I woke up and said, why am I doing that? I'm at 3.5 million on my alt account. I just need to blow it up to 4 so I can do hard Conquest.
Yeah.
So I artificially inflated my galactic power by almost 500,000, just built a whole bunch of characters and ships to fatten up my account, and got into hard Conquest. So those are the changes that affected me the most, is really around Grand Arena.
I just want to touch on you talking about ships. So my main account is between Kyber 2 and 1. I keep on promoting and demoting. Unfortunately, the same week as well, just to put the nail in the coffin, since they updated the way it works so you can get promoted between leagues midweek. And I went up against someone who had a 5-star Radus and 6-star Finalizer on defense, and this is Kyber 1.
Ooh.
And
okay.
Yeah, I mean, too many people don't bother with ships, and it does make a big difference. I just wanted to pick up on that because you were saying it.
You'll just get some free wins, maybe not at the beginning, but later on, you'll get some free wins.
And I have another question for us to go over. This one's for Darth Loquitur. It was from the Discord. They requested this question. And they said they loved your in-depth, efficient gear farming. But with the addition of Datacrons and buying them with various currencies, or through farming, through Conquest, do any of the priorities change?
The only thing that I would say is if you're looking to build Datacrons, spending the shard shop currency on the Mark 1 materials makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
For me to try to build them free to play, the Mark 1 materials is where I get held up. So if you buy those, the shop is only once a week. I think it's 600 crystals for the Mark 1 materials, something like that. So it doesn't really impact your gear farming that much. If you can come up with a few extra shard shop currency to go over there and buy the Mark 1 stuff.
Okay.
If you have a full relic team that benefits greatly from the current Datacron, then you're thinking to yourself, man, if I could just get this leveled up. In terms of efficiency, will you get more resource by leveling up that Datacron than you will put into it? So let's say you had it at level 6 and you're like, I'm going to take this thing all the way to level 9 because it's the perfect hit from my best team. What are you going to get with that? Higher squad arena placement, a hold in territory wars that you wouldn't have otherwise got, one more grand arena round that you would win. Like, what are you getting out of it? So if it's just fun for you to do and you want to do it, then go do it. But knowing that they're temporary and that they're not going to be around for a long time, to me, that temporary boost isn't worth going hard for. So take what you can get. Whatever the game gives to you, take it. Make it work for your best teams. And maybe work on one Datacron, buy some of those materials for for Shard Shop currency. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not trying any harder than that.
Okay, so I kind of want to move us on a little bit. I want to talk a bit about energy use and how you both manage your energy in this game. And you could choose just to answer as simple as saying 3 refreshes in whatever, or you can explain it. That's completely up to you.
Okay, I'll go first then. I buy at the moment. I buy the 350 refreshes of normal energy, fleet energy, and mod energy. I'm not, because I'm saving the shards that I would spend on those, the crystals that I would spend on those, for cat.
Okay.
So that's actually where I'm making up my cat sort of 440 every month, 4,400 every month.
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm not spending on Cantina energy, which is painful actually, because Cantina energy is so useful for a lot of things. But I don't want to sacrifice mods, and I still need to build characters and gear them. So it had to come from somewhere. But it is painful, because I really like spending Cantina energy, and when I spend money on crystals, which I do, that's where I put the extra crystals in general, is into Cantina, so that I can get the signal data, and I can get, like, I'm building the Eben Hawk at the moment. That's a Cantina ship. It takes forever to farm. So yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, so again, I agree. The best use of crystals in the game is for the refreshes. One particular day and only had 150 crystals, I would do 3 mod refreshes. Everything else in the game, there's some kind of mechanic or some kind of way to catch up.
Yeah.
And I've talked to people about farming stuff before, and like, I don't farm dark side nodes on dark, and when the guild objective for the day is light side, I just farm all light side stuff to help with the guild objectives. And people say, well, you're not going to get your characters as fast. That's okay. I mean, if I look at my account a year from now, does it matter that I got that character to 7 stars in July or August? It doesn't really matter, right? So on a long term, for me, farming efficiently takes priority. But there's no catch up on mods. There's not something you can do in the game to get more mods, and when I go in with an account, on the Loquitur account, I beat 4.2 million on my side, 6.8 million on his side, and I felt like I crushed him. And it's all mods. It's just my roster in general is faster than his roster, so every battle that I go into, I can pick it and start that train of whatever the team is going to do, and it's an advantage that you just can't get in the game in any other way. So I prioritize mod refreshes heavily. I do spend on my main account, and I buy a crystal pack every month on my main account, so that I can do the 100 energy cost refreshes on mods every day. Yeah. So that a lot of people would agree with that, but again, in terms of efficiency, if you break the game apart, that's the one area of the game that you can never catch up on. So as soon as you start skipping your mod refreshes, that time is gone and you never get it back. That, like, on a 1-year timeline, if you skipped your mod refreshes for 2 months, there's no catching that up. And that does matter in the grand scheme of things. The second thing, I think the regular energy is the top priority after that, because, again, ship farm, you constantly need to be working on the next set of ships that you're going to be building. So there's always pressure on your regular energy to be able to farm those ships, and also, Kairos and other stuff that you need for gearing up the characters that you have. Fleet energy third, and then Cantina, like Fellhammer said, that's where you can flex and do the refreshes when you have the crystals for it, and hold back when you need to save crystals for something else. Then for people who are actually spending money and have, let's say, quote, extra crystals, in my gear guide, I go through 6 pieces of gear that you can get out of the shop that cost 15 crystals per piece. The number one thing is the Mark III holo projector that you need everywhere. You can buy completed holo projectors for 300. It's a great value. So if you have extra crystals, that's where you put them.
Plus they make a rhodium. Don't they make a rhodium relic materials as well? Yeah.
Yep.
So I just wanted to quickly tell you something. You might find this interesting. I was going to make a video on mod refreshes. I was going to do 10 refreshes a day for a month and record everything you get and make a video. And I think, if I'm correct, it's about 1,200 to 1,300 crystals a day for that amount. Because it's, 150 for free. And then it's 550 for 5. And then it goes up by 200 each time. No, it goes up, 200, and then it's 400. Anyway, I stopped after 10 days. If you had to take a guess, what percentage... So I got, in total, I think it was 800 mods, or something close to that. What percentage of those had more than 10 speed, not including arrows?
I'd say 1% of them, so 8 of them.
It was about that, yeah.
Yeah.
It was about that, and it was about 5% of them were 5 to 10 speed. And that should be enough for anyone watching to at least do your 3 mod refreshes a day. Because if you're doing no mod refreshes, I can promise you now, you're going to get to the end of the game and you're going to have, I've seen it before, you have those people with like a plus 23 Darth Revan, and you think, what is going on? And I'm sure you can both agree, mods are confusing. So it's better, even if you don't know how to do them, at least farm them, and then maybe you can ask someone for help. But if you don't have the mods farmed, you're going to have a really bad time. And I'll be honest. Sorry.
No, so I'm sorry. There are so many good resources online for helping with mods, and they are confusing. You're absolutely right. And actually, the first time that me and DL did a video together, it was him helping me figure out what the hell I was doing with my mods, because my account was shocking. And we went through it, and he taught me how to do mods. And there's about a 2-hour video on his channel of us going through it.
Yeah.
And my mod sort of ability since then has gone through the roof, and it makes such a big difference. To the point where I'd say, if you're spending, if you have crystals and you don't know where to spend them, get the 100 refreshes of the mod crystals, of the mod energy, and just put them in there. Time, and you may be like, this is a waste of time, but it makes a big difference over time. I've now got a 355 speed Piet and a 330 speed Darth Revan, and they kill things so well. It is so much fun to watch them go. You just let them off, they just go, and I can only imagine people come up against my sort of faster teams when they're playing me and go, what's happening? It is very satisfying. I wish you could watch people attack you in GAC.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. Bearing in mind, sorry, it's a little sidetrack. I was looking at my GAC records for the last week. My Lord Vader, no more. I refused to play Conquest when Maul came out. I was on like a mini strike.
That's fair enough.
I never unlocked him, and now I'm kind of holding off because I can at least make a Proving Grounds video, because you can't play Proving Grounds if you have them unlocked. So I'm holding off. Anyway, my Lord Vader with crew in this instead held against a J&K cat. It was a timeout. Don't know how. I would love to see the result there. And the other one was, I've been setting a Newt lead separatist team. So Newt, Dooku, Asajj, Zombie, and I think it's Django. And people on 2 accounts, people tried a Wampa solo. And I just want to see what that would look like, because you know what would happen. Zombie applies tenacity down, Dooku just continuously stuns them, and Asajj stuns them. I think that would be quite a fun thing right there. Anyway, we have another question coming through. It's about mods, so I feel like it's worth asking. How do you balance between farming mods and farming mod slicing mats?
Shall I go first, or do you want to go, DL?
It's up to you. I guess I can go first on this one.
You go first, yeah.
On the mod stuff that I've got on my channel, what I talk about, and again, this is mathematical and efficiency type stuff. You're much better off farming tons of mods and less slicing materials, and then using slicing materials only on the mods with the highest potential. So, for example, I'll go through and if I get let's say I get a gold mod. Everybody thinks like, oh, I got a gold mod with 5 speed. That's wonderful, right? And then you hit speed upgrade, and then you hit speed, and it's a 4-speed upgrade, and you get a bunch of speed hits on it. And you're like, oh, what a good mod. And it's got 5 hits, and it's at 21 speed. It's not that fantastic. It's great that you get 5 rolls on it, but it's actually a low potential mod. So, for example, when I'm working on the colorless mods, gray mods, whatever you want to call them, I'm only gonna work on those with 5 speed. I slice them once, and if they don't hit, I'm never going to slice them again. Well, if I'm only slicing the green mods that have 10 or 11 speed, and when I get the next speed hit, you're looking at a 16 speed mod, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you get the next hit, you're already at 21 speed on 4 hits, and you still got another hit left to go. I'm going to look at and throw away a ton of mods. I'm going to throw away mods for days, just looking for the ones that are already 10 or 11 speed, so that when I do use those slicing materials, I'm going to hit something that's fantastic. And I feel like that's driven my account to a point where my good speed mods are really good speed mods.
Yeah.
So what I've settled into as a routine, and my account reset comes in the evening. I do all my refreshes. I always farm mods with my refreshes. And then on the overnight, I wake up the next morning and I have that free energy that you get once a day for mod energy. So I'll have like 180 energy from overnight plus that free energy that you get. And I'll spend that on slicing materials once a day. So whatever that ratio is, like about a 4-to-1 ratio, or 3-to-1 ratio, 3 mods for every 1 slicing. That's how it works out for me.
My rule of thumb is slightly different. I wake up and I go, is it a weekend day? If yes, I'm buying slicing material. Weekday, I'm buying mods. So I work out a 5-to-2 ratio. So yeah, I'm probably spending too much on slicing materials at the moment. But I've got a lot of mods that I want to slice at the moment because I haven't been treating them kindly for a while, so I'm sort of so if it's a Saturday or Sunday, I farm slicing materials, and then I can adjust that. I can be like, okay, I've done a lot of slicing recently, I'll just do Sundays or whatever it is, and then it's kind of easy to think about. It's just a bit of a rule of thumb that I have. But the maths that DL is talking about is pretty spot on as far as I can tell, so
yeah,
follow what he says.
I actually want to touch on what you said there about if it's a weekend you farm this, and if it's not you farm something else. And whilst it may not be the most efficient thing, some people cope well with a routine in this game. So whilst it may not be efficient, for someone, because I know from experience, if I don't stick to my routine for farming mods, I will go 2 weeks and be like, oh, why have I got no tenacity mods? Oh, it's because I forgot to farm them. So I always try and stick to a routine. I farm this on this day, this on that day, and then at least I have something. Now that might not be the most efficient thing, but for some people, I would say that's probably something you should do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's going to lead me on to the next section of this. So I know we've already covered a little bit, but I just kind of want to go over like your account plans. And what I mean by this is, let's go over kind of stages, and we'll each give an answer. I'll go first for a change, and we'll say what you think you should have built by, say, 1 million GP, then 3 million, and then 4 million, if that makes sense. So, guys, you all know what's coming. Young Han. Okay. Sorry, I had to put that in there. No, on a serious note, I think by 1 million GP, I think you should at least have Imperial Troopers built. Now, I'm kind of mixed now. I'm starting to kind of trend towards maybe Iden Troopers as well as, or maybe normal Troopers. I don't know about you two, I'm a really big fan of Iden in this game. And there's someone in my Discord server who's a new player, and they've unlocked Iden from the get-go, and they are able to max every single Galactic War, no issues, because Iden is just so powerful. So, really, for me, early game, you should be focusing on 1 or 2 key teams for when you do unlock Grand Arena, because you don't want to unlock it and do nothing, because that would be extremely boring. So maybe Imperial Troopers. You want to be beating Galactic War. I've seen it before. Some people don't take into account you need to beat it 50 times, right? To unlock the sim. And Galactic War's time consuming, as I'm sure you both know. So I've seen people 1 million plus GP who still haven't beaten it, and then you're struggling because you end up against better things, so I think you should have a team to beat that. And I also think you should be working on one big project. Now, I'm a believer, and that's not the most efficient thing, I'm a believer that you should first farm something you enjoy and you like in-game, and then worry about what's efficient, or if it's a GL or something. Now, I know you're going to disagree with me. I don't agree with farming a GL out the gates. I just think there's better things to do, hence why I'm doing Starkiller on my free-to-play. And yeah, that's kind of my starting from 0 to 1 million GP, farm something for Galactic War, farm 1 or 2 teams, you don't have to be high gear for competing, and then possibly have a goal which you're working towards. So, would either of you like to give your views here?
Well, Galactic War is super easy now, right?
Yeah.
If you hit 85 and you complete it once, you're on sim mode.
Oh, is it now? I did not know that.
Yeah, the requirement to do 50 of them. So when I started my account in January, I literally did 1 Galactic War. I bought the Hyperdrive.
Oh, wow.
Galactic War, and I've simmed it ever since.
When did they change that? I had no idea.
Honestly, I don't know for sure.
Because I started an account last year and I had to do the 50. Well, I guess forget Galactic War. Forget what I said, guys.
So by 1 million GP, I'm gonna state this 2 different ways.
Okay.
So again, there's nothing in the game that's more efficient than buying the Hyper. In terms of a gear pack, crystal pack, whatever you get out of there, if you're at 5 million galactic power and have 3 galactic legends, it is still the most efficient thing that you can possibly buy in the game. Not everybody wants to spend a game, right? So I understand that some people are never going to spend that $100, but for anybody who's ever going to spend money, just start there. That gets you, I think if you're a brand new account, it gets you something like 662,000 galactic power right out of the gate. So that'll get you to 1 million really fast. If you're a free-to-play player and you've leveled up from level 1, 1 million GP. But I think for sure by the time you're 1 million, everybody should have Geos and everybody should have Imperial Troopers. I haven't tried an Iden team in assault battles in a way that stress tests what that team can do in assault battles. So for me, the Imperial Trooper team, rather than GAC or other things, is really about the income that you get from them. And I don't know if the Iden team can get the same income at the same gear levels. I put up a brief video during a stream where I was in Territory Wars. I've got a new account. I've got a Relic 7 Dark Trooper, and the rest of my troopers are like they're garbage. I got a Zedon Veers, a Zedon Piet, and that's it. And I went in against a 154,000 galactic power team and just crushed it. Never got a turn. So knowing that I can do that with the Veers version of the troopers, and let's say I do have to invest in that Dark Trooper and max out his relic levels, but the rest of the troopers can all just be trash tier, and you still get your income from the game. I don't know if Iden can do the same amount of work with the same amount of investment. Once you get like a shore trooper and a range trooper to decent gear levels, the Iden team is just silly, right? Absolutely. Great, fantastic team. It really shines in Grand Arena. I just don't know how it does in the rest of the game. I haven't tested that myself yet. So for me, the recommendation is still the Veers trooper, because I know that they can pull a lot of weight with a little bit of an investment.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I'd add to DL's sort of, I want Piet as quickly as possible now, because he's the pilot of the best ship in the game. Okay. So, and he does not work with Iden Versio. So
that's true.
My troopers team is probably still looking like Veer's, because, and I would look at Iden as definitely, she's such a strong character, particularly on defense in Grand Arena and stuff, that I would definitely look at her. She's not, she's not bad, but because I just have that kind of, where am I getting extra value from? And Piet, I know I'm going to get Executor, so he's always got to be in the team for me. I would think about when I'm going up to 1 million GP is, I've had this discussion with a lot of people, is when are you going to unlock Grand Admiral Thrawn? Because you're going to need to at some point, to unlock Grand Admiral Thrawn, because you need to use Phoenix, and Phoenix are terrible at every point in the game except at the very, very, very beginning. So if the only place that they're useful is at the very, very, very beginning of the game, build them then, go through the hardship of getting Thrawn unlocked with them, and the moment you get Thrawn to 7 stars, throw the Phoenix team out the window, never use them ever again, and put them on the shelf until we get the Galactic Legend Thrawn from the tie-ins with the Ashoka series or whatever it is in a couple of in a couple of months or 6 months time, and then you're going to need them all at relic level. So think about the fact that they're a useless team except for right at the beginning of the game, so use them then. Geos, make them what ready? 1650 power, 16,500 power across the board, so that you can get that, because that'll get you into a good guild. If you can get into dark side Geo territory battle, you're going to get a great character from what, but you're also going to get lots and lots of get to resources which are going to help your fleets. I talk a lot about fleets. Me and DL talk a lot about fleets. It's because it's really important. But those GLs, those Geos are still a good team mid game as well. So even if you're sort of thinking, it's such a pain to build them, you need them to get into the guild, into a good guild anyway, and you're gonna need that, and you're gonna want them because they're a good, they're good pilots and they're a good team. So just build them. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I would think about. Jedi maybe. I still think Jedi Knight Revan and Grandmaster Yoda and Jolie Bindo are a really strong trio. If you can get them together somehow in your account, do it. They do a lot of stuff. And Jedi Knight Revan's useful for all sorts of Jedi teams later on. Grandmaster Yoda is a requirement for Kenobi, and is also just a really good Jedi. And Jolie Bindo is used on all sorts of Jedi teams. So consider those as well. I would probably just go with what DL says and go Troopers, Padme, Geos, and that would be a 1 million probably by the time you got there. But that's how I would build.
I think that's really good answers. I really like that. So when you're thinking about this, because I did say, are you at all, when you're like, obviously 1 million GP, it depends if your Hyperdrive bundle is going to come a lot quicker and you're going to be there really quick, because you're obviously getting some bloat from that. But are either of you thinking of that big goal at this point, or is this something you think about later on? I would assume maybe Executor is in your minds, but is there something? It could be as simple as, like you said, Jedi Knight Revan, or it could be something like Sith Eternal. It could basically, what is the goal in the back of your minds that drives your roster?
For me, it's easy. There's some landmark things that in the game that you have to. First and simplest one, if you're leveling up from level 1, your whole account build has to focus on this idea that as soon as you hit, is it level 78, where you can get access to the tier 3 challenges in fleet that will let you start getting Zeta materials. That's 6 Zeta materials a week. And every single week that you can't complete that mission, is just resources that you will never get back for the rest of the game. So in short term, those are the kinds of things you got to look at. You got to look at your fleet placement for crystals. You got to look at that fleet challenge. And so for the first million galactic power that we're talking about, that's really what's drilled is income. Like, where do I get my income in this game so I can start snowballing? And then for me, if you want to look longer term, what's driving account building, for right now, the top end of the game is gated behind 4 million galactic power and hard conquest.
Yep.
That's the like, once you're through the initial stages of building your account, that's the really big nut to crack. And unfortunately, Executor does not help you in Conquest. So my account build path to 4 million is 2 GLs. You know, like we talked about, the teams that we're talking about, stabilize the account, spend 6 to 8 months building good income teams, then go into your first Galactic Legend build. SLKR is just too good right now.
Yep.
You get the Omicron with the TIE pilot, the Omicron with Phasma that makes fantastic territory war team. You get the Galactic Legend himself. He can solo raids. He comes with a fleet. So it's really, he gets you the most for your account first, and the relic levels aren't too hard on him. So we do him first. Second Galactic Legend, I like JML. Most players, if they're new players, are not going to be able to organize and manage all the stuff that goes into JML and build him second. So my recommendation is really to do Ray second. The oldest, the easiest Galactic Legends, do them back to back. They both have fleet.
Yeah.
I see you shaking your head. And there's people. And there's people in the chat in the channel that I've talked to about this, and they say gas is even better. You know, build SLKR and then go right into gas. Gas will do most of what Ray will do for you anyway, and it gets you the clones and other stuff. So there's some debate about what the right way to do is there, but that's the stuff you need. And if you intentionally and artificially inflate you get your first GL, and let's say you go for gas and maybe not a Ray build. You can easily get to 4 million galactic power with 1 GL and gas and be in hard conquest. And you may not get the characters out of conquest, but you'll get, 230 shards up the last 100, which is, it defines how well your account's going to do, whether or not you're going to get these conquest characters in a timely manner. We've seen that. So I expect that to continue to be the case going forward. So once you've got your account started and stabilized, what does your account look like at 4 million GP, and are you ready for hard conquest?
So I just want to jump in real quick, because you're very conquest driven. And there's 2 questions here, I'll say them real quick. The first one is, going back to the whole efficiency versus fun, when you know the majority of the player base probably do not like Conquest at all, how do you kind of encourage them just to go through it and see it through? And the second is going to be Sortie, or 50RT, recently came out. I have some videos on my channel. They are basically unkillable in CP. Like, they because of the protection recovery, they can survive enraged for a few turns. It's kind of crazy. But aside from that, would you be applying that Omicron to help out in Conquest, or is that something you wouldn't go down the path of doing?
Is 50RT farmable yet? I don't think they're even on a node.
No, they're on 3D dark side.
Okay, all right. So again, if you farm that without doing forced refreshes, that's a 7-month farm to farm a single shard drop character.
Yeah.
If you got the initial shards on it, drop that down to a 6-month farm or whatever. Yeah. So is that worth being one of your first farms? I don't know. There's so much pressure on your regular energy to build fleet, because you need, SLKR, you want to build that fleet. You want to build Hyena Bomber, Vulture Droid. You need Hound's Tooth. You need Bosk for pilot of Hound's Tooth.
Yeah.
If you want to do any bounty hunter stuff, you're going to need other bounty hunter ships. There's so much pressure on your regular energy, and 50RT is a conquest character, but again, we're not building specifically for conquest. We're trying to build for the whole account.
Yeah.
And end up at 4 million with an account that beats conquest.
Okay.
Now, if somebody came back to me and said, "Look, I built what you said at 4 million, and I've got hard conquest, I would say, well, then you didn't farm your mods or something. But then go over your shoulder and go, okay, should I look at this 50 RT character? So I guess I'm not competent to know the answer to that, whether or not that character is so good that it would dedicating a farm on it would be appropriate.
Okay.
So again, it's something that I would have to take a look at to see if it's better. In order for that team to go off, though, the other characters on the team have to be well geared too. So you'd need T3 stuff like that, BB-8, T3, things like that. But they would have to be geared, right?
So the way the team normally works is Sortie will give a buff to all the droids in the team, and then the first one to die will revive, and that's what the buff does. In Conquest with the Omicron, it changes it, so instead of starting with a buff, once you kill the first character to take a turn, you gain 3 turns of damage immunity, and you cannot die at all. So, and because Sortie gains so much bonus speed, and I've tried it out myself. I mean, I have a relic one, but obviously I know that's kind of going to skew the data and stuff there. But as long as you have the right data discs, as long as you're going first and you're killing someone on the first initial hit, or wait, maybe I'm rewording that wrong. Essentially, as long as you get the first kill, as long as you kill someone, you're reviving the entire team, and then you gain the damage immunity. Sorry, I read that wrong. So, even if your team around you lose and Sortie survives, it's still a 3-star because you're bringing everyone back. Everyone gains damage immunity. There's literally no way you can die, if that makes sense.
Yeah, especially if you were doing Rey as your second GL.
Yeah,
that character would fit very well in a build like. Get you to build BB-8 and R2 anyway.
Yeah. So
that's a couple droids, and you need T3 for the Malak journey if you ever want to do it. So that's another one.
And for Ebon Hawk.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, for Ebon Hawk. In case you still got Chopper or some garbage like that you built somewhere, right? So you wouldn't have to divert a whole bunch of resources into characters that you didn't already want. And like R2, I mean, you could in GAC you could put him in anywhere and then just have him for that team when you're in Conquest. So no, it's an interesting idea. I like it.
I would recommend you both, honestly, if you haven't looked at much gameplay of 50RT, they are 100% looking into, because they do some really cool stuff. Like, sorry to go off topic, you know the standard Lord Vader counter, which is SLKR, Night Sister Zombie, Daka. You can actually just bring SLKR Armorer and 50RT, and 50RT will stealth the Armorer, because Lord Vader hits the Armorer first turn with the AoE. Because they've got the buff, they stealth, and then you're guaranteed to get the 3 stacks of Beskar, which saves your Night Sisters, which is what I'll be doing because I've just applied the Asajj Omicron. I love the look of it, but I understand you guys may or may not like that. It looks fun. It looks fun. Anyways, I know that we're going to run out of time if we carry on. So, let's kind of skip the 2 million, go straight to 4 million. Why not? What do you aim to have on your roster by 4 million GP? And we kind of already talked about it a little bit, but just in case you wanted to add anything, either of you.
3 million or 4 million, you cut out a little bit there, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I seem to be having slight internet connection issues. I was saying, I know we've kind of already covered it, but is there anything else you would add that you would want to have on your roster by 4 million GP? That you would encourage people to have as sort of goals or checklists?
I think at some point you've got to accept that the top of the game is locked away behind Galactic Legends. Yes, there are characters that Galactic Legends can do, like Sortie, can potentially do some of it in Conquest or in raids, and can counter some things. But the reason that they've made Galactic Legends, they're the chase characters. That's what they want you to do, and they're going to continue to want you to do. And so you've got to accept that at some point your account is going to be worse if you can't say you've got a Galactic Legend. I made my way up to Kyber at 3 million GP in Galactic in Grand Arena because I put my Supreme Leader Kylo Ren on defense in the front, on the bottom for, however many seasons it was, and the number of people who couldn't beat him because they didn't have a Galactic Legend, or they had a Galactic Legend but didn't know how to use them properly, was insane. It was so your Galactic Legend unlocks so much of the game for you. It makes Conquest, hard Conquest a lot easier. I know we've talked about Conquest a lot, and it makes it sound like me and DL really like Conquest. I don't think that's necessarily true. We just accept that it's a part of the game that you have to be able to do if you want to get everything out of it that you can. And actually, me and DL did have a private conversation recently about the fact that I don't like Conquest, and help me, DL, because I don't want to keep doing Conquest. It's rubbish. Blah 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 blah. I'm gonna sack it all off, etc. etc. Being very dramatic. And he said, look, you don't need to get the red box in order to do well in Conquest. You need to play the game, enjoy it, spend your energy, and get your. And it's a tool like any other part of the game. It's it's part of the game that you do. You don't need to win every event. You don't need to be every node 3-star in order to enjoy and get a lot out of Conquest. And even if you get to the end of the 3-month cycle of a character and you're 90 shards away, that's a lot better than being 270 shards away from unlocking them. I'm going to end up with Malgus at something like 200 shards. I will be able to buy him out of the Conquest store and other places pretty easily if he turns out to be a character I want. And it hasn't really cost me that much effort, and actually I've been enjoying this round of Conquest because I've kind of got that mindset of, because I'm just doing the bits that I want to.
No, I think it's really good that we started by talking about what efficiency is, and then we took a second and we spoke about how to make that fun. And I love that we're kind of going back around in a circle, and you're saying, I can tell you're both very efficient players. I can tell it by the look on your face when I mentioned Jung Han earlier. But it's good that we get to the point where even though you're so efficient, you're still telling each other in this private conversation to have fun. And that's the most important thing I think everyone should take from this. I'm sure you'd agree. In the end, this is a game. It's not a job. It's not it's not one of those things we have to do, we have to force ourselves to do. And it's important to understand that it is just a game. And let's be real, unless you're in Kyber 1, are you really going to be at a massive disadvantage if you don't have Malgus on day 1? Probably not. I don't know.
Yeah. I think traps that you can fall into where you say, I need the latest and greatest thing because, other YouTubers, I'm not going to say who they are, best things since sliced bread or the worst things since sliced bread, or whatever they are, Lord Failure or and JMK is the best team in the game. It doesn't matter when you're at the start of the game. You're not at the end then, unless you're in the top, what is it, 10,000 of Kyber 1 or whatever it is, 1,000 of Kyber 1. You're not at the end of the game. You're not chasing those latest characters. You're making steady progress through the game. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. If you're not enjoying it, it's okay to put the game down for a day, and take some time off, or to say, what, I'm going to build, Gamorrean guards, or I'm going to build young Han, or whoever it is,
There we go.
There you go. I've put him in the same sentence as Gamorrean guard now.
Tonight, tonight will be the best night's sleep I'm ever gonna have. That was a really good answer. DL, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that Fellhammer makes a good point. It's and again, I'll go back to the idea of and if you're trying to force the game to come to you, and you're trying to, I know I can get the red box in Conquest on my main account because I've done it several times. But in this last round, I Malgus in the first round of Conquest. As long as I get Malgus, I can get the second best box with literally half the effort of getting the red box, and I'll still get him in 6 rounds. It's fine. I don't need him right away. So I think that helps with that. And I would also want to add that community is such a huge thing, not just in this game, but as a hobby. Like, even if you like to play chess or lift weights or whatever it happens to be that you enjoy in life, being around other people who like the same kind of thing is fun. And like, the reason I enjoy talking to the people over in my, there are people asking questions. They're hungry for information. They want to know different opinions and different approaches. And we've got people asking questions and answering questions, and that is such a big part of the game to me, is that community. And I think for sure I would have lost interest in this game by now if it wasn't such a great community and holds and stuff like that. So for whatever reason, this particular game has built up a lot of really good communities. Yeah. And there is a lot of toxicity among streamers, and I even had a
Sorry, you cut out there.
Oh, sorry. Where'd you lose me?
You said, I could only hear you said a little bit of, and then that's all I heard.
So you heard the part about good.
Well, my internet's playing up. You cut out again. Sorry. Do you want to just repeat the sentence again? Is that right? About toxicity.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of toxicity among streamers who are, constantly saying the game is ending and CGR, all this other stuff. And I'm big on personal accountability. If you don't enjoy the game and every day you log in and you're sick to your stomach and you feel like, oh man, I again, and it's not rewarding, and just don't play the game. Be done with it, right? Like, Don't look to CG and demand that they fix the things that are wrong, because the only way you're going to fix that is look in the mirror and decide what it is that you want. So if you want to play the game, have fun with what they've given us. I mean, if I could snap my fingers, 3v3 would be twice a year. I don't like 3v3. I don't want to play it. If that's the game mode that they're giving us, then I have to adapt and adjust and either have fun with it or leave it alone. And that's my choice.
And build Newt Gunray, because he's amazing in 3v3.
Oh, absolutely. Separatist faction, by the way, the best faction for 3v3, without a doubt. Every character gets used in some way. It's the faction to go for, guys. Other than the smuggler faction, but we won't keep on going on about that today.
Is Young Han a separatist? I don't think he is.
We can dream. So I have to throw a bit all the time. I tell you what though, young Lando, I saw it on Zareth's video. Last 3v3 was hitting for 300,000 damage.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. He's a monster. Yeah.
Yeah. And
apparently, and he's a pilot. So there you go.
Yeah, and he's a pilot.
Of a rubbish ship. I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
Do you know what? That ship, it's not terrible in a Radis lineup, because as long as it gets brought in last, which the trick I use is don't bring a last reinforcement, just bring 3, because you're most likely only get 2 off. It comes in last, it takes loads of bonus turns, it can do stuff.
But in a Radis with that.
Yeah,
I'm mostly just trolling DL because we have debates about whether Ray's actually any good or not.
Oh, Ray! I honestly, I know we're a bit off topic now. I would put Ray as one of the better GLs to go for, because they have one of the best C-Pit teams. Ray with Jawas and Armor is, that's. Oh, I'm trying to think. I think 13% is my high score in Phase 4, which is, better than
that's big.
Some JMK lineups. You then have Lightside Geo's a walk in the park, easy. The teams people moan about the Ray lineup, but the Fimbros in 3v3 Like Finn, Poe, the hero ones, and then Finn. 3v3 is a fantastic team.
It's one of DL's favourite teams, yeah.
Oh, I love to hear that. And to make things even better, the Finn Omicron. Now, my main account is 9 million GP, and even I wanted to apply that because it looks so much fun. You know, that just looks so much fun. I think Ray's not a bad one. The problem is, SLKR's Omicrons are Territory War and GAC, and most people care only about Territory War and GAC. And going back to what DL was saying, obviously it's all come down to preference and who says it, but we are being told by many people, not just content creators, but throughout the community, if it's not a GAC Omicron, it's terrible, or if it's a Territorial one, it's okay in some circumstances, and most people will say, if it's anything other than those two game modes, don't apply it, it's a waste. I've seen that multiple times. Whenever I go online or watch videos or anything, you're told time and time again, only apply these Omicrons for GAC and Territory War, but your only Omicron there might be Chief Chirper, and people forget that. So I don't think Ray's that bad a GM.
I've encouraged people at least 3-1. If you've taken 3 Omicrons for yourself for GAC, you owe 1 to the guild.
Yeah.
So things like Mara Jade or Phasma or something like that for Territory Wars, or if you had something good enough that couldn't do well in light side Geo unless you Omicron the Finn. Katarn, I think, is another one that makes a pretty insane team for territory battles. So, E or TW or whatever, I think you take a few for yourself, but then you owe one to your guild. You know, we all got to help each other out. And it was probably a good 6 months ago, maybe, I don't know. It's been a while now, but Omicrons were pretty new, and I talked to the guild leadership in both my main and my alt account. And I encouraged both of them to start setting up an Omicron zone right away in Territory Wars.
Yeah.
And just encourage people to at least get Territory Wars. We just didn't make it a requirement, but kind of leaned on people a little bit to say, hey, let's do this. And got a whole bunch of Mara Jade and Phasma Omicrons right away. And that zone is a beast. Like, we put that zone and people use their GLs getting through there, and then the GL zone is just rock solid. There's 37 teams or something like that, and a lot of other guilds get like one zone clear against us. So it's really it makes a difference if everybody just gives one. That's 50 teams.
Oh yeah. So I'm actually a guild leader, and
I'm sorry.
Tell me about it. I'll tell you this now. At the moment, it's a really weird position where there's so many new players. There's so many old players looking for guilds. Anyone in between, there's nothing going at the moment. I can tell you that now. It's kind of a crazy situation.
Justification has come about because of you need 300 million GP to get the droid brains for R9, right?
Yeah.
So if you haven't got a big account, it's difficult to get into a guild that's also then doing CPIT, so you're not getting the R8 materials as well. So there's a big sort of gap. Yeah.
But the way we do it is we kind of request people to farm Geos, request them to farm clones for guild events, and then we kind of say you have kind of free reign. We're not going to control what you farm. But
I think that's very acceptable.
If you farm a character who has a completely game-changing Omicron, like Phasma, or like Starkiller, then we kind of say, please, please, please apply, Juhani Omicron or apply Phasma Omicron. That's kind of the stance we have. Because it's like Dio said, it's giving back to the guild. And yes, Starkiller, for example, Starkiller's a fantastic character, we know that. But that Omicron is just ridiculous, and if your guild has that, I can't really say much because it's just so good. I'm sure you've both seen gameplay of it. It's a game changer, and
I mean, you have to throw. We're being told sometimes in Territory War, please use your Galactic Legends on these teams, and they're the teams with Omicron.
Oh yeah,
it's like, and suddenly you're taking a risk, aren't you? Because you're going, there's a wall of Omicron of Omicron teams, else to get through them. Then behind that, suddenly you've got 40 JMK teams or even just a couple of JMK teams can be scary, and suddenly you're like, we've lost, we can't get through this. So yeah, it does make a big difference. You're absolutely right.
And sorry to go so off topic, but I just wanted to touch on this. The other problem with territory wars is not many people produce much content about it, because there's a real stigma that you're not. If you actually go and look, there's barely anyone. I mean, I stream my territory war when I can, but I've had so many people come to me and say, there's just no one streaming territory war, and no one wants to show defenses, and no one wants to show how to beat these teams. But I'll let you into a little secret. Going back to smugglers, Dash team is actually a pretty good Phasma counter. No, I'm being serious, because the way it works is basically Vandal Chewie will revive as long as he's prepared. And as long as he's recovering protection to max protection, he gains prepared. Now, the Phasma team, for some reason, the AI does not like to hit Vandal. So they'll hit everyone but him, and he just continuously revives everyone. It's really fun. But yeah, sorry for going off topic there. We've got one more bit, and then I'm going to have to run, because I've got to go to work in a few hours again. So, the final bit I wanted to talk about, because we were talking about guilds, I wanted your thoughts. In terms of efficiency, what do you consider a guild that's acceptable for you? Now, let's take 3 examples real quick and just go through them one at a time. Just both of you give me your 3 examples. So, a brand new player, what are you looking for in a guild? Someone who's just hit 4 million GP, what are you looking for in a guild? And then you personally, what are you looking for in a guild? Either of you can go ahead here.
Okay, so I mean, I've been in all these situations relatively recently. So, at 1 million, because I've got my What Ready Geos, I expect a guild that is doing GOTB and light side Hoth TB.
Yep.
I would expect not to be doing CPIT yet.
Okay.
That would just be my expectation. Now, I would expect maybe I could probably working towards CPIT or might be able to beat CPIT, but I think with the stratification we've seen as a result of the R9 materials coming in and things, it's harder to get into that guild these days.
Yeah.
When you're a 4 million GP player, you're shooting for the moon, in my opinion. You want to try and get into a 300 million GP guild if you can, and you do that by building clones. You do that by building the cam clones, so you guarantee your team your guild a cam shard every time. You make sure you've got your What Ready Geos, and you've got some CPIT teams to take down CPIT, and that's what you do. And if you go and talk to people, you get into a guild that's that good. You can do it. It is possible. And for me, because I'm at that I'm just at that above that 4 million GP at the moment. That's what I've gone for. It's what I in a guild that does. We get 22 cam shards from light side GOTB. Yep. We get 40 watt shards. I get CPIT gets cleared in 3 hours. And I'm happy as Larry. And we do really well in territory wars as well.
Very nice.
So I think for all 3 of those levels, you have to be true to yourself. Mm-hmm. And some people in this game are competitive, and probably the 3 of us that are talking are all competitive players, and we want to do well. Yep. We also have to remember there's a heck of a lot of people out there that are casual players. They really don't have the drive to participate in every single territory war, every single thing that's out there. And I would say that's the first definition. If you're a casual player, every day that you don't get 600 tickets, there's going to be somebody yelling at you that you didn't get your 600 tickets. They're going to be threatening to kick you out of the guild if you don't make your contribution. You forget to sign up for a territory battle, and you got another mark against your record. I mean, if you're not a competitive player, don't sign up for that stuff. Mm-hmm. Find a casual guild that's out there doing raids and just chilling out, and if you get 500 tickets, nobody cares. You won't maximize your income in the game, but you won't maximize your frustration either. first, decide what kind of player you are and try to find a guild that kind of matches your play style and a community that's going to, let's say, get along with what you want to do. For competitive players, I think what Fellhammer laid out is really the moral of the story. You get out of a guild what you put into it. So if you're a newer player, you're a million galactic power, you've never built the geos, there's going to be out and go, no, I mean, no, just you can't even do a dark side GOTB and get a watch shard for us. We're not going to consider you. Yeah. So if you, like Fellhammer said, Fellhammer was actually applying for a guild. I think you were still, 2.5, 3 million, something like that. And he was trying to upgrade his guild. And the guild that he found basically said, okay, that's fine, you can join, but your next thing has to be cam clones. And then, okay, I like the guild. It's a huge jump for me, and I'll build the cam clones, and off we go. So he built them as a condition of employment, so to speak, or whatever you want to call it. And I think that's what people have to look for and understand. If you open yourself up to that, and I've got a video on this from earlier in the year that I did on my Obtisio account, where basically you open up to a guild and you say, I want to join a good guild. I'm willing to build. And if they can look at your roster and say, yeah, we're all building Padme, we're going to work our way into this, so everybody has to build a Padme team. Whatever. You're going to have to go along a little bit to get along if you really want a good competitive guild. So that's what I would say, rather than kind of justifying what kind of guild you're looking for. Find a match for your play style. And is going to be what lands you in a better and better guild.
Okay. All right. Have either of you got any closing things you want to say before we end the stream here?
Yeah, I've got one thing. It kind of never came up, but I started this Darth Loquitur account kind of as an experience. Real interested to see the progress, so I started doing weekly updates on my account, and that's been a pretty big hit for my channel. When I first started doing it, the agony of waiting 7 days before I clicked any buttons was like, oh my god, I have everything I need to relic this character. I just want to get it done and click the buttons and be done with it and move on, right? But having to wait that week, it has settled into so many routines that I think are really, really excellent habits. So if anybody's feeling frustrated with like their progress, or they feel like they're misallocating resources, try it. Like, save everything up for a week. I hear this all the time, like, how do I get enough money to have any credits? Well, I don't spend any money for a week. So if I go in on Tuesday and I work on mods, I've always got credits. I go in on Friday and work on mods, I've always got credits. When I get to states, whatever credits I have left over is what I have for character building. And kind of doing that the other way around, I never feel like I'm broke anymore. It's just a matter of whether or not I have enough to take a character to level 85, or maybe I'll stage it at level 70 and finish it out later. So the credit management, the mod management, all that stuff, and then like what resources you have at the end of the week, you can truly pick the top priority characters to put stuff on, and when you're done clicking buttons, you're done for another week. And I don't know, but I've settled into that now, and I'm doing it on everything, and I think it actually is a huge benefit to resource management.
I think the thing that I would sort of say, not as a counterpoint to what DL says, is that I'm really bad at all the things that DL says, right? He says, wait, delayed gratification, do the things else. I'm the person who, when they see the piece of gear missing from gear 12 to gear 13 on their Chewbacca, will go and see if they can buy it from the shop sometimes. Like, I'm that bad sometimes, okay? But the point I would make is that when you're efficient and when you're playing the game as optimally as you can, and you're getting the gear in as effectively as you can, and you're maximizing your income, whether it's crystals, Zeta materials, all that sort of stuff, you can afford to be a little bit risky. go, okay, actually I am going to put a Zeta on this character so I can put the Omicron on them because because it looks fun, as opposed to because it's the best thing for my account. You can afford to be that because and because you're almost giving yourself permission to have fun with the account by having done all the groundwork and putting in the strong foundation that says, okay, I've got a GL, I've got Executor, I can mess around now because I've got those things in my account.
Yeah.
By the way, be really efficient and do what DL says and don't do what I said, because it's really bad advice.
Well, you're probably both going to cry at the thought of this, but I currently have on my main, I have no shiny crosses or whatever plus signs, because if I see
but your account's at
one,
9 million, right?
yeah, but I had some the other day, and then we did a grand arena, and someone spotted that my IG, the rubbish one, what's the droid, the one that you get right at the beginning?
86.
Yes, they noticed that he had some bright, colourful X's.
Really?
And they said every battle you drop, you apply one. And I dropped enough battles, so he's now gear 12.
Oh dear.
Definitely not efficient. No, seriously, guys, if you're watching this, you want to be efficient, DL is the guy to look at. Because they are the most efficient person I've ever seen in this game. And hopefully, today you've basically learned some information. And hopefully they've shared the knowledge they have with all of you who watched us today. And there's a lot of hopefullys, but hopefully you all you all finish today and go check out their channel if you haven't seen it already, but you probably have because they're amazing. They make great content, and you should definitely go subscribe to them and watch all their videos because you're going to learn so much. More than honestly, if you want to learn about the game, like if you want to learn the nitty gritty stuff, the stuff that no one wants to talk about at times, because it's so in depth and it's very, what's the word? Just in depth. I guess that would make sense. DL's the person to go and watch. Before we finish, we've got one last question coming. What do you get if you apply... Oh no, don't worry, that wasn't a question. Anyways, I need to actually head off, so we're going to end this here. So thank you everyone for coming along. Thank you to both of you for coming on and giving up your time this evening to come and talk to
You're
everyone.
welcome, man. Yeah, it's been great fun.
Yeah, I hope you have enjoyed yourself. And yes, Caps Commander said, DL, you need to farm Young Han. Just tell them you will. There we go, guys.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
I've got him on my main account at 7 stars. I've collected him, so I can mess around with him. See what happens.
On a serious note, he is actually pretty good. That's all I'm gonna say. But I'll leave the imagination to both of you. You decide if it's an efficient choice or not. Anyways, all right. Thank you everyone for coming along.
I'll relic him and I'll compare him to Enfys Nest for solos in Grand Arena.
Oh no, that's a whole different conversation.
No, there's only ever one winner, and it's definitely not Nest. Sorry. All right, thank you both for coming along. Thank you everyone for watching the stream, and I'll see you all later.